and welcome to an introduction to hip hop. I am the acronologist G. Simone. Every culture produces its own principles, its own history, its own advocates, and its own teachers, pointing the way to that higher quality of life. Every culture produces its own keeper, its own philosopher. For the urban street culture known in the world today as hip hop, KRS-One, an acronym for Knowledge Reigns Supreme over nearly everyone, is all of these. The presentation that you are about to see is designed for the empowerment of hip-hop's actual teachers. Although anyone can learn from this presentation, it is hip-hop's authentic teachers that we are most concerned with here. And so it is my honor now to bring to you the teacher, KRS-One.
From the very beginning of hip-hop's existence in the Bronx in 1973, we have been living and methodically documenting, collecting, and accumulating the material and immaterial existence of hip-hop. We do this with the intent to pass such cultural knowledge on to those hip-hoppers who are to come after us. I am KRS-One, founder and teacher of the Temple of Hip Hop, which is a hip-hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. Not only do we approach hip-hop culturally, we also approach hip-hop as a divinely inspired global culture of peace and prosperity. Our temple is exactly what it says that it is, a temple for and of hip-hop. Here, we approach hip-hop spiritually, philosophically, and culturally. Rap is something we do, while hip-hop is something we live. And it is the living of hip-hop that reveals its spiritual, philosophical, and cultural existences. This is what we are going to learn today: hip-hop as culture and as lifestyle, not just as music or as dance. Since 1973, we have been developing our knowledge of hip-hop, how it functions and how we are to correctly express it. And only now, some 50 years later, has it become possible to reveal the first stages of what we have learned. The body of knowledge that I'm about to reveal to you is authentic, accurate, and authoritative. And these are the words that I would like to begin our study with: authenticity, accuracy, and authority. To be a real hip-hop teacher, or a teacher of any subject, one has to be authentic, accurate, and authoritative. Such hip-hop authenticity, accuracy, and authority can only come from authentic, accurate, and authoritative hip-hop teachers. I am that teacher, and it is my sacred duty, as well as my pleasure, to reveal this important cultural knowledge to you at this time. I speak today in a collective voice based upon my direct relations with hip-hop's actual founders and originators. It is they who call me Master Teacher, and it is we, all of us, that I represent in this teaching. As hip-hop's first culturally ordained master teacher, I sincerely thank all teachers of hip-hop for taking the time, the money, and the space to expose students to hip-hop in some meaningful way. I know that it has not been easy for many of us, and this is why I am offering this empowering hip-hop teachers course to you at this time. My point here is to empower you, the hip-hop teacher. As our study of hip-hop unfolds, I will be referencing a variety of dictionaries, encyclopedias, and other reference books to broaden and to clarify what I am teaching. I do not rely upon these books as the foundation of my teachings, or even as an approver or authority in regards to what I am teaching. I refer to certain well-known reference books amongst scholars because when teaching any subject, it is best to start where people already are. Plus, referencing such widely used and known study sources minimizes debate and confusion while teaching. In addition, when teaching hip-hop, it is not wise to assume that your audience understands every word that you are using or the ways in which you may be using such words. So, it is always best to refer to a common source, like a dictionary, to further clarify whatever you are implying. The teaching of hip-hop is a new discipline in the world, so referencing well-known study materials will help other scholars, students, better understand hip-hop in the languages and methods that they are already familiar with. Hip-hop is the truth, and once you are familiar with the truth regarding hip-hop, you can refer to any study materials to express such truths. So because our subject is new, it is wise to first use what is already widely known amongst scholars of all sorts to introduce ourselves and our hip-hop style of teaching. It is for these reasons that we will be referencing the Oxford English Dictionary 20-volume set, along with other Oxford English Dictionary publications like the New Shorter Oxford English Dictionary and the Oxford Dictionary of New Words. We will also be referencing the American Heritage Dictionary, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th editions, along with the photography work of Jamel Shabazz, Martha Cooper, and Joe Conzo. Other books like Hip, The History by John Leland, The Hip-Hoptionary by Alonzo Westbrook, and The Gospel of Hip-Hop will also come up in our study from time to time. As you will learn, this introduction to hip-hop is empowering to the hip-hop teacher because here you are learning from an original and culturally authentic hip-hop teaching source. The importance of this is that by comprehending the language of this culturally authentic hip-hop study, you raise your own self-worth as an authentic teacher of hip-hop's real culture. It is here that you become an authentic teaching authority yourself because you are learning from an authentic teaching authority. And this is a good time to show you what I mean by referencing certain dictionaries to minimize debate and confusion while teaching, or to clarify what I am implying. Looking at the American Heritage Dictionary, 4th edition, we see the word authentic, meaning 1, conforming to fact and therefore worthy of trust and reliance or belief, an eyewitness. 2, having a claimed and verifiable origin or authorship, which conforms to fact and is not counterfeit or copied. Again, a claimed and verifiable origin or authorship, not counterfeit or copied. As hip-hop's first master teacher, this is what KRS-One is and also has: a claimed and verifiable origin and authorship within hip-hop's real culture as hip-hop's actual teacher, which conforms to fact and is not counterfeit or copied. This is why I emphasize being the first master teacher. I am not the counterfeit version of or the copied version of a hip-hop teacher. I am hip-hop's first master teacher, delivering an original hip-hop studies course which I myself have authored. This is where authenticity begins, and it is this authenticity and authority that is being transferred to you through the language of this hip-hop cultural study. Looking at the same American Heritage Dictionary, 4th edition, we see the word authority, with a variety of meanings pointing to power, enforcement, command, and so on. But in its academic sense, we find the word authority beginning at 4a to mean an accepted source of expert information or advice. B, a quotation or citation from such a source. 5, justification, grounds. 6, a conclusive statement or decision that may be taken as a guide or precedent. All of these definitions to authority equal who I am and what I have established within hip-hop's actual culture. These are the facts, and this is what is being transferred to you through the language of this study, authority. Others can have their opinions, their likes, their dislikes, but when it comes to the facts, this is why we refer to certain widely known reference sources to clarify what we are implying. Looking now at the New Oxford American Dictionary, 3rd edition, we see again the word authority, meaning 1, the power or right to give orders, make decisions, and enforce obedience. The right to act in a specified way delegated from one person or organization to another. Official permission, sanction. 2. A person or organization having power or control in a particular, typically a political or administrative sphere. 3. The power to influence others, especially because of one's commanding manner or one's recognized knowledge about something. The confidence resulting from personal expertise. A person with extensive or specialized knowledge about a subject, an expert. Finally, a book or other source able to supply reliable information or evidence, typically to settle a dispute. Close to the bottom where we see origin, we see that the word authority comes from the Old French autorité, from the Latin auctoritas, from the Latin auctor, meaning both originator and promoter. Here we can plainly see that the actual etymology of the word authority begins with being an originator of something or a promoter of something, even an author. These definitions go on to define authority as the confidence resulting from personal expertise, a person with extensive or specialized knowledge about a subject, an expert. This is where one's authority to teach hip-hop begins. It begins with one's extensive or specialized knowledge regarding hip-hop. It begins with a certain confidence resulting from personal expertise. Professionally, practically, and academically, the word authority has to do with being a specialist at something. Again, it means a person with expert knowledge of a particular subject. It also means a recognized knowledge about or expertise in something. To be the authority on a subject, one must be proficient in all aspects of the subject. One must be an expert on the subject, a person with a high degree of skill and knowledge regarding the subject. If you are not an expert or specialist regarding hip-hop, or you have not been authorized by an authentic hip-hop cultural authority, you cannot expect to professionally teach any aspect of hip-hop seriously, or even be taken seriously as a hip-hop teacher. Respectfully, you are not a qualified authority on the subject, nor have you been authorized by the true authorities of the subject. You have not been appointed by the culture itself to teach it. But when the culture itself ordains you to represent it in the world, this is where the real empowerment begins. This is where one's cultural authority to teach begins. This is how you become an authority regarding the teaching of hip-hop and its real culture yourself, or rather, an accepted source of expert information or advice regarding hip-hop yourself. You have received the knowledge of your craft from the author of the craft. In this case, you are learning of hip-hop's authentic culture from hip-hop's authentic cultural architect through the lessons of this study. These are the facts, and it is the actual deeds of our culture that establish such facts. Here, facts matter, and right along with the words authenticity and authority is the word fact. Of course, most people believe a fact to be something written or a statement backed up by some kind of material evidence. But as we look at the Oxford English Dictionary, we see that a fact is a thing done or performed. It is an action, a deed, or a course of conduct. It is considered to be action in general, deeds, as opposed to words. These are facts. In a more modern sense, a fact is something presented as objectively real. It is something having a real, demonstrable existence. It is also the quality of being real and actual. The American Heritage Dictionary, 4th edition, defines a fact as knowledge or information based on real occurrences. Still, a fact is something done or information based on real occurrences. And the key word here is occurrences, what actually happened. Regardless as to what a person says, it is one's deeds that define what is actually being said or implied. Likewise, it is not solely what is written that is a fact. It is what has been done, what has occurred that is a fact. This is important to grasp at the top of our study, because where facts matter, deeds matter. Action in general matters. And this is what separates this authentic hip-hop studies course from others that simply offer a review of popular rappers and DJs as the basis of their study. This hip-hop study is quite different. This is a cultural study, not an entertainment study. Cultural studies require hard evidence, retrievable data, verifiable history, and truth. Different from an entertainment study or even history, which are most times made up and often led by purely commercial interest or self-interest, real cultural studies rest upon real and verifiable events, dates, people, and places. It also rests upon the consistent testimonies of the culture's originators. All serious scholars know this, and likewise, all serious scholars know that having a connection to the original source of a subject makes one's scholarship regarding that subject authoritative and authentic. And this is what an introduction to hip-hop offers: access to a real cultural teaching, authority, and authenticity. It is here that we begin to leave the realm of hip-hop as entertainment and enter the realm of hip-hop as culture and as fact. Deeper than simply being a student of hip-hop, objectively studying hip-hop from the outside of it, here you are studying hip-hop from its source, from its cultural source. Here, hip-hop is not simply something to know, it is also something to continue. Knowledge of hip-hop, or any culture for that matter, begins with words like heritage, tradition, and lineage. The study of these words, as they pertain to culture, can only come from the culture itself. All objective approaches to heritage, tradition, and lineage will prove themselves to be either incorrect or incomplete. Only the culture can speak accurately for itself and pass itself on to itself. It is then through this authentic hip-hop studies course that such a lineage is now being passed on to you, if you so desire to continue it. This is where your authority to teach hip-hop culturally comes from. It comes from one's own accurate adoption of the culture itself, which now includes your participation in its continuation. Of course, you will have to take our full apprenticeship at the Temple of Hip Hop to be certified and or ordained to teach the culture of hip hop officially. This introduction to hip hop is exactly what it says it is, an introduction. But this introductory tutorial will at least introduce you to the basics of our hip hop studies course and connect you to the real cultural authority necessary to teach such a course. The intent here is to empower hip-hop's actual teachers and further develop the hip-hop teaching tradition. From here, you can further develop your own teaching style and teaching methodology. But with this authentic and authoritative hip-hop study as part of your foundational understanding of hip-hop, you are not only intellectually united with the originators of the hip-hop teaching tradition, but you are also empowered by its truth. So, if you are really serious about teaching the culture, the history, the arts, and the sciences of hip-hop, open your mind and let's get started.
An Introduction to Hip Hop, Lesson 1.
Welcome back. When most people hear the term hip hop, they tend to think of rap music, specifically rappers and DJs. Some might include graffiti art and break dancing. But for those influenced mostly by corporate media, hip-hop appears to them as a music genre because of the popularity of rap music. Their basic understanding of hip-hop comes from radio and television, or rather the marketing and programming of entertainment executives and their financial interests. Such approaches to hip-hop, however, are purely entertainment-based, and they lack the depth needed to fully appreciate hip-hop as the global culture that it has become. In the past, many believed that you had to be born hip-hop in order to fully understand hip-hop, that hip-hop was something that one was born expressing. And while there is some truth to this belief, especially for the first hip-hoppers of the early 1970s and 1980s, hip-hop has now existed in the world long enough for us to see its repeatable patterns. As a unique cultural identity with techniques and methods of all kinds unique to its existence, along with a real historical record of its own, unique to its cultural development, hip-hop emerges not just as a music genre, but as a useful and teachable subject, something that is important to know in modern times. This cannot be denied. In addition to being a sustainable urban lifestyle and cosmopolitan character, hip-hop has become a unique group of people in the world that are in need of useful knowledge regarding themselves, ourselves. And this is why we teach hip-hop. Before we teach hip-hop to anyone else, we must first teach it to ourselves and to our children accurately. This is where the real teaching of hip-hop begins. Not with the biographies, the recording sales of artists and so on, popular rappers, but with real cultural teachers teaching real cultural knowledge based upon the existence of our real cultural heritage. Teaching the cultural existence of hip-hop as an urban lifestyle, we first acknowledge hip-hop's core 4 elements: breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJing. But when we actually begin to live hip-hop as a cultural lifestyle, we find that these initial core 4 elements expand into 5 more cultural elements: beatboxing, street fashion, street language, street knowledge, and street entrepreneurialism. This approach to hip-hop is unique to this teaching, and so we call these redefined elements of hip-hop the definitions. This is what we know to be effective regarding the actual living of hip-hop. The definitions makes the best part of hip-hop a repeatable science, a science that when mastered offers special intellectual and creative abilities unique to the hip-hop experience. The language of the definitions unites the culture of hip-hop and approaches hip-hop as, again, a repeatable science that lays out a practical framework for the explaining of hip-hop's cultural elements and the passing on of vital cultural information. By learning how to speak and teach the language of the definitions, and by performing hip-hop's elements in this way, true hip-hoppers raise their own self-worth and artistic longevity, and protect hip-hop from foreign interpretation with our own cultural terminologies which correctly define us and what we are doing. In addition, not only does the language of the definitions increase the value of those that teach hip-hop for a living, but such a language unifies hip-hop's actual teachers speaking the same language. Here's a condensed definitions list. The full definitions list can be found in the original Gospel of Hip Hop, beginning at page 113. Breaking, the study and application of street dance forms, originally called the go-off, burn-in, and or boy-yoing-yoing. It is also commonly referred to as freestyle street dancing. Breaking is the cultural dance or hop of hip-hop. The practitioners of traditional breaking are called b-boys, B-girls, and breakers. MCing, the study and application of rhythmic talk, poetry, and divine speech. Commonly referred to as rapping or rap, its practitioners are known as MCs and rappers. Graffiti art, the study and application of street calligraphy, art, and handwriting. Commonly called aerosol art, writing, piecing, burning, graph, and urban murals. Other forms of this art include bombing and tagging. Its practitioners are known as writers, bombers, graffiti writers, aerosol artists, graffitiists, and graffiti artists. DJing, the study and application of rap music production, cutting, mixing, and scratching, as well as on-air radio broadcasting. Commonly refers to the work of a disc jockey. However, hip-hop's disc jockey doesn't just play vinyl records, tapes, and compact discs. Hip-hop's DJ interacts artistically with the performance of a recorded song by cutting, mixing, and scratching the song in all of its recorded formats. Its practitioners are known as turntablists, DJs, grandmasters, mixmasters, and jam masters. Beatboxing, the study and application of body music and body language. Commonly refers to the act of creating rhythmic sounds and language with various parts of the body, particularly the throat, mouth, and hands. Its practitioners are known as human beatboxers or human orchestras. Street fashion, the study and application of urban trends and styles, commonly refers to the clothing trends of urban centers. However, street fashion deals with all trends and styles of hip-hop's culture, what's in and what's out, regardless of the expression. Street fashion is the hip of hip-hop, being keenly aware of what is new and in style. Its practitioners are known as hip-hoppers or hip-hoppers. Street language, the study and application of street communication, commonly referred to as Black English, urban slang, and ebonics. It is hip-hop's urban language and linguistic codes, the verbal communication of the streets. Its practitioners are known as hip-hop. Street knowledge, the study and application of ancestral wisdom, commonly refers to the basic common sense and accumulated wisdom of urban families. It consists of techniques, phrases, codes, and terms used to survive modern urban life. Its practitioners are known as hip-hoppers, sisters, brothers, goddesses, gods, mothers, fathers, and so on, including street scholars, urban philosophers, teachers, and independent researchers. Street entrepreneurialism, the study and application of fair trade and hip-hop business management, commonly referred to as street trade, having game, the natural salesman, or the smooth diplomat. It is the readiness to engage in the creation of a business venture that brings about grassroots business practices. Many of hip-hop's apprenticeships begin here. Its practitioners